Welcome to our very special Market Matters Budget Edition today. It is Friday. I think everybody's only had one thing on their mind, and that's how the market actually felt about it. But today, just because it's a special edition, we've got a special guest. Who do we have on today, Charlotte?
Mr. Tan Eng Yew today from Deloitte Malaysia.
So, Mr. Tan, you actually deal with the GST side of things.
Yes, I do.
So, looking at everything that happened, now that the budget speed is over, did it fill your wish list? Did you see what you hoped you would see?
Yes, to a large extent, I must say, yes, it did. I feel glad and relieved because prior to this budget, there seemed to be a lot of calls for a lot more relief, zero rating and stuff like that. Now, that kind of thing bothers us as GST practitioners because with each item in the relief, you create leakages of revenue and it creates complexities to the system. So I'm relieved to a certain extent that there has not been too many things added into that relief order.
But of the things that were added, for example, medicines were some of the things they included.
Yes.
Mikolo, which actually before we had this interview, we were wondering how we could, because
Yes,
it's a dish,
correct.
isn't it?
It's Mikolo.
It's a dish, right, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really curious whether it's going to be like the whole dish or the meat, but we're being frivolous. But the fact is, of all the things you added in, did you think they were necessary to be there, or will they make much of a difference?
Yeah, with all this relief, to my mind, I mean, of course, it's nice to say that look, you relieve all the extra medicines because cost of medication, of course, is very high these days. To my mind, yes, it is a good thing, number one. And from the government revenue perspective as well, to my mind, it doesn't harm the government collection so much because in the past, medicines did not attract sales tax. So it's not like the government's going to lose money from the previous collection just to give this relief. So I think it's a good move.
That's the interesting thing. They said, right, during Nadia's budget, I mean, Charlotte, we were watching. How much did he say he would save?
Well, basically the government say they are going to get about 39 billion from GST. And before this, right, before we introduced GST, we have already actually collected 18 billion from SST.
So what do you think of that amount that they're going to or they are collecting?
Yeah, to my mind, that is also, that's also a good sum, right? Because last year, they were estimating GST collections of only about 23 billion. The 18 billion SST, that is the actual figure from last year, right? So from an initial estimate of 23 billion, now it's raised to 39. So that's the thing. So to my mind, that's the good thing about GST, in that now there's a lot more people who are registered. They estimated about 240 to 300,000 registrants. Now, Najib says we have already hit 400. Right? So obviously a lot more people are now in the net. Yeah?
So do you think the government should actually introduce more efficient way or route map to show the citizen, to show the people that how they're going to use this 39 billion ringgit?
Yeah, that was something that the Prime Minister had actually committed to show in this budget. I suppose on the overall, what we are seeing is that he's saying, look, the revenue is 39 billion, and that this will be used to finance all these benefits, like all these benefits to the M40 and the school vouchers, all the the scholarships and everything. So I suppose on the broad perspective, not to be specific.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, we're talking about collections and tax as well. Usually, what we see is that when you have GST, personal tax goes down because it seems to be that every step the gate we get from our salary, we get taxed somewhere.
Yeah, precisely.
So the fact is, they did introduce a couple more bans. I call it, in my head, the Robin Hood principle, right? Which says essentially you are taking from the rich, right? The 26% from the 600 to a million, and the million onwards is 28%. Now, I'm going to be a little bit controversial with you and say, like, the fact is, people say that no matter what you do, this Robin Hood thing does not cure inequality. Even if you give the rich, the poorest guy on the street, the 2,000 that you took from the guy who owns more, it's not going to bring his quality of life up no more than a day.
So what happened just now is the government actually introduced two bans. Basically, they're increasing the tax rate to 26% for people who earn 600,000 to 1 million ringgit, and those earnings above 1 million ringgit, they are going to increase the rates to 28%. So what do you think about this?
Well, to my mind, right, all this policy, it's not like it's not just one thing. It's a whole package, right? So to my mind, yes, I agree with Nadia that by doing that, it's not going to stop inequality. But to my mind, in a sense, it does help. To my mind, like the whole thing about GST is, you're talking about GST as tool to collect money and to redistribute wealth, right? So in this case here, I suppose the government needs the cash, so it's difficult to say, okay, now you maintain the GST rate, the rate is maintained, and then of course to cut the what do you call that, the tax band, then of course naturally then you end up, what's the point? You're not increasing your collection, right? Number one. And to my mind, that's good. You're collecting more money, and by introducing these two new higher tax brackets for the higher income, to my mind, that helps to generate even some extra cash into the coffer that which can be used to at least give targeted helps towards the poor, right? One thing that I don't quite agree when people say, you give more relief on GST in terms of, like someone was saying, give relief to school uniforms, right? So to my mind, the rich will buy more, right? So it gives you relief. Then really you are relieving the rich more than the poor, right? So to my mind, if you keep the relief limited, then of course the money you save or you collect, you can actually then give it on the targeted groups, which I think which is what is being done this time, and I think it's quite good.
Yeah, I think nobody's disagreeing that that GST is fair. It taxes Paul and Peter depending on their salary brackets, but again, we come back to the transparency. Isn't that something that needs to be worked on more than just at this time around with the economy the way it is, you think?
Yes. So that's what I think. That's what, on a broad perspective, the PM has tried to do. He's announced that we're collecting 39 billion, and that of course, and the revenue is not only from GST, it's from various sources, right? So he's doing a broad accounting as to this is what we're going to collect, and from what we collect, this is what we're going to spend it on.
So just to wrap everything up, just overall, was there something you wanted to see that wasn't there?
Well, not really. I didn't expect that this. I mean, I would say that on a whole, I expected this much, and I'm glad that it came out the way it did from the GST perspective and on an overall as well.
That was Deloitte's GST leader, Tan Eng Yew. For more information, of course, you can go over to theedgemarkets.com. We are running budget the whole day. Just go take a look at it. And of course, don't forget our physical papers as well. Thanks a lot for that.